People are changing every day. The algorithm's changing every day. So you need to be refreshing your listings constantly. Your listing is the only way that you can communicate with your customer. You have to show the product and sell it. If they're not in store, they can't touch it, they can't taste it. So you have to do everything you can.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the E-commerce Coffee Break podcast. Let me ask you something. How much money are you leaving on the table because of your product images? Most listings don't fail because of the product. They fail because of the design. Slow designers, expensive photoshoots, endless revisions, and AI tools that spit out images you can't even edit. So what if you could create high-converting, fully editable listing images in minutes, not weeks, and actually increase your conversion rate? To find out how this works, I'm joined by Monte. He's the founder of Pixii, an AI tool trained on over 100,000 top Amazon listings and used by brands doing billions in revenue. So let's welcome him to the show. Monte, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Klaus.
Let's dive right into it. What are most sellers doing wrong when they design their product listings?
Wow, huge question. There's a few things wrong. So one, they're probably not designing their listings that often, right? People are changing every day. The algorithm's changing every day. So you need to be refreshing your listings constantly. Your listing is the only way that you can communicate with your customer. I mean, you have to show the product and sell it. If they're not in store, they can't touch it, they can't taste it. So you have to do everything you can. One is they're just not designing at all, right? And because it's so expensive, it takes 9 weeks for a designer. It takes $20,000 depending on the, depending on the agency. If you get a freelancer, it still takes, $3,000. This time spent, the money spent, and this complexity and the fact that it's a black box, people just don't design that often, right? And if you think about the best brands, the ones that are scaling, they're touching their listing every month. They're updating, because they're always optimizing for conversion rate, whether that's on Amazon or Shopify or TikTok Shop, anywhere. That's the first thing they're doing. So they're not designing enough. I would say, the second thing they're doing is that there's no science, right? It's sort of just like, I hire an agency, I hire a designer, they talked a good game, they put it all together. But the truth is that, we work with a lot of agencies as well. And the truth is that the person doing the selling is usually an expert, but the person doing the work is a designer. And they're asked to be a performance marketer, an analytics person, a keywords person. And they're also asked to, churn out designs in a day. When these things take creativity, they take time. And so what you end up with is listings that are not backed in science. They're not backed in what's actually converting on Amazon or Shopify or TikTok Shop or Walmart.com. They're not really tailored to your customer, and they often don't understand your product and why it's better than their competitors. So I would say those are the two things. One is just not doing enough. And then the second is the lack of science.
Now, you are working with huge brands. You have analyzed a lot of top listings on Amazon. What is a bad listing design and what does it really cost you in lost sales?
Well, you'd be surprised. Some of the biggest brands and the most well-known brands have some of the worst listings, especially if they started out as a physical, they started out, kind of before the internet or in the early days of the internet. You'll see like a pot and pan company or a clothing company or a beverage company, and it's just one low-res photo on their site. Actually, we have some companies that we're helping, they have 5,000 products. They don't even have one photo, right? It's like an oil filter for a car or auto part. So yeah, just having these like really low quality, single image or no image listings, I think is a terrible starting point. Now, if you think about digital native brands, so if you have people who know the game, they spend the time on the internet, they built their brand up from scratch. A lot of them are either founders or CMOs that are involved in listings because they understand the value that a good listing brings to the conversion rate and obviously the revenue. But they're busy, right? These founders, the CMOs, or even the performance marketers are super busy. So they can't dive deep into, well, what makes this product special? If the customer doesn't buy this product, what will their life be like, right? And we can talk some examples about that as well. But what would their life be like if they didn't buy this product? And why should I choose you over competitors? And so if you don't tell the story and if you don't answer this hidden question in the customer's mind, then they're just going to leave, right? And so if you think about conversion rate, that's a 3% conversion rate is pretty common. That means that 97% of people who come to your listing leave. And so even a 1%, if you go from 3% to 4%, right, you've added 33% to your revenue, just like that. And so if you could sell a little bit better and speak to them in a more emotional way and really get to what matters for a customer, the rewards are just so unlimited, right? And we've had people telling us that they're on Amazon, their tacos cut in half in 2 weeks, right? Because they were just pouring ad dollars onto a listing that just wasn't converting and it just didn't speak to the customer.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And you mentioned conversion rate optimization before and designers not understanding your brand, not understanding your product, and you might have a huge catalog. So then they're just overwhelmed with the pure number of SKUs that you have. Now, this sounds for me, and that's what you do, a perfect solution for AI. And I want to talk and dive really deep into this. Just tell me what brought you on the idea that AI might solve this bottleneck.
So a few years ago, I was a consultant before starting Pixii. I was at Bain& Company helping Fortune 500 brands. And in all these big marketing projects, these analytics projects, I would ask them like, hey, we're piping in all this data. We're looking at Google and Meta and Amazon and millions of data points. And we were like, I would just ask them, I was like, hey, is this actually going to help you? We're doing all this stuff. We're building these pipelines. We're building all these cool presentations. But is this going to make you more money? And the universal response I'd get is that no, it's creative. Creative is always a bottleneck. And so even though we know it's the most important thing, better creative, better visuals, we can't do anything about it. They felt hamstrung. And so right around that time, 2022, AI was getting very, very good. And so I worked on a side project actually at Bain & Company for Pixii. And so Pixii got traction, and then we spun out of Bain & Company with their support. And the rest is history. And so we've been at it now for about 3 years.
Now, 3 years in AI terms is 100 years in real time. So I'm sure you had quite a bit of a learning curve there. And I think founders who try to do image creation on their own with AI tools out there, they end up in a prompt hell, really not getting anywhere. You do this differently. You're specialized on that. Give me a bit for our listeners an idea how Pixii works and what's sort of the learning curve there.
A zero learning curve. The way Pixii works is you drop in your listing URL and you click generate. And then Pixii will give you a set of 7 visuals and the strategy that sells, right? So you'll have a creative strategy breaking down the target personas, what the reviews are saying, what your competitors offer and how yours is better. And then creative concept, right? So we actually take after, if you ever watch Mad Men, that TV show, they kind of go deep into these New York City advertising agencies that would charge you $1 million, by the way, just to that creative strategy. As we walk through that, like what is the functional benefit? Oh, this dog treat has 8 calories, to what is the identity payoff of, look, I'm a proud parent of my dog who takes care of them and makes sure that nothing's going to happen to them and that they're going to age gracefully and have a long life, right? And so you have to make sure you're speaking to these deeper needs. The other thing that Pixii does is it creates a set of 7 visuals optimized to sell on whatever platform you're selling on. So Amazon, Shopify, TikTok Shop, that includes, and the 7 visuals are optimized, right? So that what that means is you have the main, which is for boosting on Amazon, at least click-through rate, and for Shopify, telling your story. And then you have a set of visuals that walks through exactly what is in the customer's mind. So will it fit? That's a common question, right? So if that's a question in your reviews, we'll make sure we address that immediately. Or what are the ingredients, right? If it's a supplement brand or a food and beverage brand, that has to be the number 2 shot. And then, eventually ending with lifestyle shots and trust badges. Let me just back up though, just to give you, because I kind of went in a rambly way. How does Pixii work? You drop in a listing URL, you click generate, you get an optimized listing. 7 visuals and the strategy that sells. Once you get them, you can pop in and open any of them in our drag and drop editor. And you can make changes with point and click. It's like Canva, right? You just point and click and make changes. Or you can type and prompt it if you want to. And then once you have that set of 7 that you're like, okay, I'm pretty happy with this one. I love it, or my client loves it, or my colleagues love it, and it's converting, then it's time to scale, right? So you made that perfect listing. You need to make 100 more listings or 1,000 more listings. Our factory feature allows you to recreate that except, 1,000 times, right? So scale one listing to 1,000, keep the same visual identity, keep the same layout, keep the same styling.
Makes perfect sense. Now, obviously, AI needs a little bit of training to understand your brand. And obviously, a brand, specifically bigger brands, have brand guidelines. They want to have things done a certain way, a certain font, a certain color. How does Pixii deal with that?
So in that first 2 minutes, when you get your first listing, Pixii's actually already built your brand profile, right? So it's scraped your listing and a few other things to be able to understand exactly that, the visual identity, the brand font, the colors, the logo, the brand voice. And from there, it's usually a really strong starting point, including for Fortune 500 brands that are using Pixii today. But if you want to modify it, because brands are always evolving, you can go in and change anything. And the great thing is you can change your brand profile that affects all of your creative. You'll stay consistent across your brand.
Now, we mentioned before, a lot of sellers nowadays are omnichannel. You mentioned Shopify, you mentioned Amazon. How does Pixii integrate with these platforms?
Yes, our focus is creative. And so if you want to generate a listing for any platform, Pixii can do that, whether it's Walmart, Shopify, TikTok Shop, Amazon, Mercado Libre, and anywhere else, to be honest with you. The way Pixii works is any to any. So if you have an Amazon listing, you can make a TikTok Shop listing, or vice versa. If you don't have a listing yet and you want to launch, Pixii can also help you with that. And these are all, everything I'm describing here is like 2 minutes. Like it's super quick. Yeah. So, on the roadmap is a publish it as well. That's not quite there yet. People have been just blown away by the creative. I mean, I get emails every day. People are like, this is, we're saving $20,000 a day nowadays. And people are like, oh, well, usually we only redesign 5 listings, but now with AI, let's just go ahead and redesign 80. People are saying that I thank God you came into my life. Like the feedback has been so astronomically good. And so it makes me feel great because every one of our users has tried ChatGPT and Nano Banana Pro and every other AI tool, and they're saying that ours is way better. And so, yeah, that gives me a lot of motivation to keep going.
Yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Do you have any case studies or examples from brands that you work with, and so that all listeners understand what kind of results they see?
For sure. If you take, one founder I was speaking to recently, Carrie Thomas, she runs Skin Perfection, which is the high-end brand for skin products, right? And anti-aging products and science-backed products. And their typical serums will sell for about $80, and they sell in multiple places, on Shopify, on Amazon, and Walmart.com. And Carrie's really experienced, and she's sold many products, many channels, and hired many agencies over the years. And she was just saying that on day one, within 2 minutes, I saved $3,000. She was saying that we clicked a button and I got the visuals, and they were Amazon ready immediately. So that's a good one. And what she ended up doing actually is doing that. So she designed her whole catalog. She's like, well, this is so easy. And she's a founder, right? She's busy. She's got a team. She has to deal with supply chain issues. She has to deal with reviews, fans, all these things. But she felt it was worth her time because she's getting such a high ROI on her time to just click generate and get the listing visuals. So I need to touch base with her to see what she's doing on click-through rate and conversion rate. Another founder recently, like I said, dropped their tacos from 43% to 19% within 2 weeks. And this is just by improving the listing visuals. Agencies, I think, are a big vector for Pixii and AI in general, of course, because they're the ones under the most pressure to create more with less. We have one example. So Daniela Bowlesman, she runs a creative boutique agency called Mindful Goods. Their focus is 7 to 9 figure brands. And she's, a big voice on LinkedIn. So she's actually been using Pixii for A/B testing. So her team, whenever they start a client project, they're like, hey, can we just get 10, 20, 30 main image ideas to put in front of the client on, within a day of onboarding? And so these are types of things. To think about it, like you would pay in the old days, right? In the old days, last year, you would pay often, depending on the size of your company, $300 to $1,500 just for one photo, and you would wait 3 weeks, and that would be your hero image. And Danielle and her team are now shipping you 10 or 20 or 30 in a day. And in the creative strategy as to why you would pick one or the other. And so this A/B testing use case now has made things possible that were never possible before. Like you would never do that. You would never just send 10 free shots to a client.
True.
And so the clients now, for brands, they're seeing a whole different level of results. Like we're seeing companies save $20,000 a month on photoshoots because you don't need to, for a furniture company that we help called Westminster Teak. They're one of our earliest customers, and they sell luxury furniture. We're talking like $10,000 for a side table that sits outside of your porch. It's made of teak wood. It's beautiful. It lasts forever. So that's why they can command that premium. To do a photo shoot, they would have to rent a mansion, right? Find a mansion that's willing to be rented, or rent a yacht. That's a big part of their customer base. And then ship all this really heavy teak wood furniture, these logs of furniture, onto these boats. And they obviously deal with the yacht owner screaming at them because, oh, you scuffed the floor. And they would have to have a photographer. Like you're talking $20,000 just for that day of photo shoots, and then you get 8 usable photos. With Pixii, they're saving that $20,000 first of all. They're also like churning out like literally thousands and thousands of photos, redesigning their entire catalog. But the final piece that I'll mention, right, is I think when you talk about cost savings and on time savings, there's the people are like, oh, well, what about designers, or what about the photographers? And is AI taking their jobs? Are you taking their jobs? And from what we've seen, the answer is no. Like the answer is actually that the brands and agencies that use Pixii are growing. They're actually hiring. And, the Westminster Teak example with furniture, they just wouldn't do it because they would ask for these freelancers, photographers, and yacht owners to come. It was such a pain logistically. And the freelancers are busy. And so they would just never get anything anyway. And so they would end up doing like 2 or 3 a year. They still do that, if not more, because now they know if I do one photo shoot, I'm not getting 8 photos, I'm getting 1,000. Because I'll just throw them into Pixii.
I can totally remember the old days and the pain that comes with it with photoshoot, because I'm in marketing for a very long time. So I have been in situations where just scratching my head is like my time is suited somewhere else much better than standing here and looking somebody making photos. Now, but what's the minimum content or like a photo that you need to provide to Pixii so that it can do its magic?
One pack shot is all you need. Yeah. So one hero image of just the product. That's all you need. Obviously, the better quality that image is, the better results you get. I mean, I think with AI right now, I mean, all this information is going to be out of date in a couple of months, but I'll tell you what AI is good at, what it's not good at. It's amazing at CPG. Food, beverage, supplements, pets, medicines, anything that comes in a package is astronomically good, billion-dollar quality. Like we have brands that you have in your cabinet right now in Pixii. The stuff that it's actually gotten really, really good at in the last month or two is home stuff. So home decor, tools, kitchen products. Those have gotten really, really good. Where it's still struggling a little bit is truly one-of-a-kind products. Like there's like literally only one of them. And it gets better. It does a pretty good job. Like I had a customer they make a set of like ice cube trays in the shape of America. The guy's in Canada, by the way, which is hilarious that he's making these America-shaped ice trays. They're probably made in China, of course. Anyway, these America-shaped ice trays, one of a kind. And they actually did a pretty good job. I was pretty surprised. AI is getting better and better and better, even at these one-of-a-kind products that it's never seen before.
That's very amazing that it can do this. And then we can see how quickly AI is evolving basically on a daily basis. Walk me through the typical onboarding process of a new client of yours or an agency. What steps are involved? How long does it take to get up and running?
It's about 2 minutes. Yeah, you go to the website, pixii.ai, you drop in your listing URL, and then 2 minutes later, you'll have a set of beautiful visuals that you can use immediately. Or you can edit, or you can scale to the rest of your catalog. If you want to do a more involved process, we can certainly do that with our enterprise customers. We'll import their whole catalog and we'll do listing analysis across their entire catalog to figure out where the best conversion rate improvement opportunities are. But for anybody just starting out, whether you're a big brand or you're launching your very first product, just go to pixii.ai and drop in your listing and you'll get something beautiful.
Okay. With that, obviously, the question comes, how does your pricing structure work?
For sure. Well, so a free trial is actually very generous. And so you can do probably about 3 listings there at least, which that alone would be, $9,000 depending on who you are. And so that's a free trial. It's very generous. Then from there, we have a brand plan and then an agency plan. These prices are all going to go up, but I'll just mention what they are now. So the brand plan is about $100 a month. And this includes really like a large number of listings. And then the agency plan, $500 a month. This allows you to have multiple brands. It allows you to have unlimited team members. You get Slack support with us. You get custom playbooks in case you wanted to do really interesting things like translate this image to, the 15 languages in Europe. Or, and so there's all kinds of fun stuff that people are doing there. Or show this in 10 different living rooms, one in all the capitals of Western Europe. I mean, it's a fun thing you can do. So for the agencies, they have a lot more power features like that.
Okay. Now for that price, it's absolutely a no-brainer. I mean, with one product listing, you will be already making money, not spending money. Monte, before our coffee break comes to an end, is there anything you want to share with our listeners that we haven't covered yet?
I think that with AI, it's gotten so good now that you really have to rethink how you've thought about everything. Like, okay, if you're a founder and it was never worth your time to use Canva and play with photos, like now you just drop in a photo into Pixii and you'll get an entire listing. If you have a large catalog and you're like, well, I'm not going to redesign 1,000 products, like that's a waste of time. That would be, millions of dollars. I mean, do it in Pixii. We could do it tonight. You'll have it by the morning, or if you're like, no, I can't optimize my main image or my listing every month. These take so much time. Now you can. And it's, even though if you're a CEO or you don't have much time and you don't have any expertise and you don't have any design skills, you now have a superpower. With Pixii, you are now Iron Man. You can drastically grow your revenue. And the good thing is that most people who hear this won't actually do anything, right? And so the people who do, you're still in the minority. You still have the edge. You're still much further ahead than all of your competitors.
Very true words. And I want to bring this back to the beginning. When we started, you said it conversion rate that is like 3%. If you increase that by 1 or 2%, your business basically goes through the roof. And now you have the chance to optimize and have the perfect images, the perfect visuals, the perfect listing, and really stand out and be better than your competitors. And as you said, you don't need to have a huge budget or a huge team. You can do this as a founder, as a small team. And with Pixii, it's very easy. Go and find out more about you.
Definitely just go to pixii.ai, pixii.ai. You can start and get a listing in 2 minutes, or you can book a call with me or my team members. And then, just to point on conversion rate, I mean, a lot of our users are getting 3-4x conversion rate. Sometimes I just mentioned the 1% because it's conservative and that's 30% higher. You can definitely do, but 3-4x, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like, go improve your listing.
Yeah, I think that's the right word to finish today's episode. Try Pixii. I had look at your website and all the examples that are there, and they're very impressive. So for our listeners, I will put the link in the show notes as always, and then reach out to Pixii or to Monte directly and get started. Thanks so much, Monte, for your time today.
Thank you, Klaus. Have a great one.